ABC Women would like to thank BIPOC Executive Search for sponsoring today's episode.
The BIPOC Executive Search app is here for you. Get information about job opportunities we're recruiting for. Keep up to date and in the know about career news tailored to Indigenous, Black, and other racialized audiences. Gain helpful tips and learnings to help you on your career trajectory, celebrate job appointments, and more. The BIPOC Executive Search app, here to elevate the candidate experience for Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. Free to download and available on iPhone and Android smartphones.
Look how far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. You stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. 100 woman growing strong. 100 woman where you belong. You stood tall and now you see, you have reached your destiny, woman.
100 ABC Women would like to take this opportunity to welcome our viewers and listening audience, families, friends, and our sponsors to our inspirational conversations, fireside chats with 100 ABC honorees. 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women is a bold initiative created by the co-authors, the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, a former MP, Donna Jones-Simmons, a corporate diversity executive, and Dr. Denise O'Neill-Green, Vice President, Equity and Community Inclusion at Ryerson University. Our mission is to celebrate and archive the professional accomplishments of trailblazing Black women from all across Canada. The goal is to create an ever-expanding database available for current and future generations via print media, public and private libraries, as well as a website, which is www.100abcwomen.ca. We are pleased to bring you a series of fireside chats which include conversations around education, healthcare, entertainment, creative arts, legal, technology, entrepreneurship, diversity and equity, media, engineering, politics, sports, and so much more. These, we know, are topics that matter to us and to you. These educational and inspirational conversations will be made available to all current and future generations via our 100 ABC YouTube channel. This is a great way to learn from our elders, brilliant-minded and accomplished Black Canadian women. So join me as I welcome our moderator for this episode, Entertainment and Creative Arts, Amah Harris. She is a pioneer in the field of Black theatre in Canada. She is the past co-director of Black Theatre Canada and founder of Theatre in the Rough, a company which focused on the positive imaging of African and Caribbean peoples. Amah is an innovator in theatre and education, integrating elements of both disciplines to yield the most productive results. Working in both fields since 1970 here in Canada and even before in her home country of Dominica, Amah's work in public education and anti-racism has received kudos from audiences, clients, and even the press. A director, playwright, producer, performer, and educator. Her works have been hailed by hundreds of thousands across Canada, the US, Dominica, and as far south as South Africa. Amah Harris.
Hi, it's Amah. Such a pleasure to be here this afternoon. And, lingering in my ear is that warm, beautiful voice of no other than Liberty Silver. What an incredible human being. She's sharing the stage with us today, the lady with the voice and the heart. Her Liberty Silver Foundation of the Performing Arts is a youth music educational and training organization designed to educate, empower, enrich, and enhance the creativity and productivity of all youth. Liberty Silver has performed for, shared the stage with prominent and influential figures: US President Barack Obama, Bob Marley, Maya Angelou, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Celine Dion, our very own Oscar Peterson, and the reams of others. She was originally discovered on the US-based TV show Star Search, hosted by Ekma Pan. Since then, she has a trail of awards following her. She's a multiple Juno Award winner, that's Canada's Grammys. She is a Grammy Award winner also. 1 Canadian Smooth Jazz Awards, 3 Rock Express Awards, Top Female Jazz Singer, Bob Marley Memorial Award, African Achievement Award for Arts and Entertainment, Mississauga Star Walk of Fame inductee 2017, and the awards trail keeps on and on and on. Yes, 100 women strong, 100 women where you belong. You have reached your destiny. Our theme song, Liberty. What inspired you to write that song for 100 ABC women?
Well, it happened at the gala, the first gala that Jean Augustine actually put on. And she asked me to write a theme song. Well, I said, well, I'm going to write a theme song for her. So she goes, okay, great. So I was on my way back from Niagara Jazz Festival, and then I landed at the 100 Women. And it was actually when I got into the room that I found the end of the song and created it right there on the spot. I already had an idea, and Eddie Bullen and I were already kicking it around, and we were recording it and passing it via email. But that's when it hit me that how purposeful it was, and it had to touch every woman, not just talk about how I feel about glory or how I feel about being strong. It had to inspire them. And when you were doing the opening theme at the beginning, I was listening to the song, and it was like I didn't write that. Like I always say, I know I wrote it, but I didn't write that, right? Because it's the inspiration that I get, and then it just comes out, and it's not for me, it's for everyone else. So I consider myself a conduit in that respect, because it comes from inspiration, and I feel like you can't leave anybody out. And 100 Women is so powerful. Like I remember winning the award that year, and it just inspired me and made me feel so strong about myself, because sometimes when you're out there battling the conditions, right, you forget how wonderful and just amazingly powerful you are. And I do that on purpose, so I stay in a place of humility, right, so that I can be that conduit. But at that point, it just made me feel so powerful. And even as I'm listening to it, I'm getting goosebumps, like it's somebody else singing, not myself. So it's about empowering all the other women that are out there, and including myself, and making them feel like you're here. You choose it, you work for it, it's yours to have. Nothing can stop you from your destiny. You are given that at birth. That's something that comes along with you. And it's up to you to fulfill that and nurture that and grow that within inside you, so you can become who you truly are. And it's just that simple. And I think when people hear that and they're hesitant to go forward or be a little more pushy or maybe demand certain things, they hear that, they go, yeah, I deserve that. That's something that we all deserve as women, because we are creators of nations and we have big responsibilities. So for us to take time out for ourselves and acknowledge ourselves, I just think that's the most beautiful thing that we could ever do for self.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's deep. That's going really deep.
Yeah.
You know, you talk of destiny and purpose. How do we, as women, as people, even identify that destiny or that purpose, and how do we prepare for that destiny?
Wow. I can tell you of what my purpose is. I was born a creative, and I know that. And I've always had to lean on God and have God with me at all times. We all have our own divinity, whatever it is that we believe. And when we believe in that and we rely on that, then that gets us through. It got me through as a child when I was adopted and I didn't know I was adopted. It got me through when I left Peterborough because I found out I was adopted. And the second day I arrived in Toronto, I opened up for Bob Marley in New York. I got an audition and I was gone. He took me. And when that happened, when I left Peterborough and came to Toronto, I said, that's Exodus, movement of your people right there. Yeah. And I was off on my destiny. And I realized I knew this was what I was supposed to do. And we have to believe in ourselves to take ourselves to those points. And there's going to be a lot of downtime, but you have to realize that you are divine by nature. You come from a creative source. And once you love yourself as a creative and as coming from that source, there is nothing that you cannot accomplish. And he's given you the tools. You're born with them. You come into this earthly plane with those heavenly gifts with you. And you have to look inside of yourself. If you put yourself in bad situations or uncomfortable situations, you have to get out to find yourself, right? I always talk about find yourself, know yourself, love yourself, and then you can share yourself, right? And I found that out at an early age. And it was through a lot of pain that I found that out. But it took me right to where I am now. And I think women just have to exercise what they know is inside them and express it, and it will come to you. It's not hard to figure out once you love yourself.
Yeah, that's deep. Loving yourself. Once you love yourself. And I just listening to you and hearing your story, it humbles me because that is such a dynamic, powerful story, so inspirational.
Right.
And we have right here with us another extraordinary person. Mm-hmm. Yes, Letna Allen-Rowe, storyteller extraordinaire of Jamaican heritage. Letna, it's beautiful to have you, and we're sharing the stage now. And you were educated in drama and educational theater arts at the Edna Manley College. Wow. Educated in drama and educational theater arts at the Edna Manley College for the Performing Arts, the National Institute of Broadcasting at York University, and the Travel Training College of Canada. Ms. Letna, as she's known, is a breast cancer survivor. All right, so my Letna, diagnosed with breast cancer in December 2011. Author of the book, Ms. Letna versus Breast Cancer. Is it a cure or a blessing? Hallelujah. Wow. She's a motivational speaker and founder of Miss Lester. She's a speaker and founder of Miss Letna Healing Hope Incorporated. Miss Letna is the winner of several awards, including Queen's Diamond Jubilee Award, citation and recognition from Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, for outstanding community work, Unsung Hero Award, Mother of the Year Award, Women Leading Women Building Communities from the province of Ontario, a recipient of the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer from the Government of Jamaica for outstanding service to the Jamaican diaspora in Canada, 100 ABC women. Mm-hmm. Letna. Your stories, we are waiting for you. How important it is for you to tell those stories, and what type of stories are you going to tell us you talk about?
Thanks for having me. It is very important for me to tell stories because I tell lifetime stories, stories of the past. I mix them with some of Louise Bennett Anansa's stories, and I bring them to relevancy and to compare what happened to Anansi and what is happening to us now. So we put a correlation in those stories so that people can understand where they're coming from and to know where they're going. Because if you don't know where you're coming from, you'll never get to where you're going, or you won't know when you get there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you have to be such an actress when you're telling stories, though. Such an actress. You're an actress in your storytelling.
Yes.
Acting is done whenever you step on a stage or in front of a movie camera, or what we're doing right now, actually. What kind of actress do you see yourself as?
Well, I'm one who is sincere, and I play roles that captivate audiences. I play life roles, real roles that you can see yourself in. For example, the last play I did, one of the last plays I did was Marcia Brown, I Need to Know My Father.
Yeah.
And when that play was over, wherever we go and perform, people said, you know, I can relate to that situation. I did not know my father. And I can relate to it. A rich woman doesn't want her son to see the maid's granddaughter. And that's that sort of thing. So I make whatever I do come to life. I made it approachable and people can relate to it.
That is fantastic. Yeah, you know, you talk a lot, what you're saying there talks a lot about self-analysis.
Yes.
Liberty talked about self-analysis, and I suspect we're going to hear that from the other panelists also. We're sharing the stage. Somebody like you, I'm sure a lot of people come to you for advice. What sort of advice would you give to someone, a younger person who's looking for guidance?
For a younger person who's looking for guidance, first thing I would say to them, research, research, research. Make sure that this is something you want to do and want to make a career of. Do not go in it halfway. And when you get halfway, you said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to be that. I'm going to do something else. When you have wasted 2 years of your life trying to get to something that you're really not equipped for, and you'll never be equipped for it, because that's, as Liberty talk about, your destiny. We're all made in God's masterpiece, and he gave us that trajectory to go on even before we were conceived. So he knew what he wanted you to be. So you have to know what you want to do. When you come to choose a career, do not go into it blindsided. Make clear-cut choices. Discuss with a trusted advisor what you want, one who can steer you down the right path, and invest in yourself and your career and choose wisely. Because whatever you choose in your younger days, you will come back to live on it. And always look 10, 20 years ahead. Not like when I'm sure we were growing up, we were told that the year is going to end 1999. You know, and now look where we are. Look where we are now, 2021. So we have to look 10 years down the road and try to make a path for ourselves so that others can follow.
Yes, indeed. And I'm fascinated by the book you authored.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of self-analysis must have gone into that, character development. What inspired you to write that book, my love?
This book is called Breast Cancer, We Have You. Breast Cancer Story, A Curse or a Blessing. Yes. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I remember I did my mastectomy the Monday. I got out of hospital Tuesday night. And Wednesday morning, I said to myself, I said, God, I don't want to ask you this question, but it's been toying with my head. Why me? Yeah. I said, I have 5 sisters by my mother and 1 by my father. Why didn't you choose one? And then I literally heard a voice in my head says, why not you? I told him I was afraid. I said, I know I'm in the valley of the shadow of death, and I do not know which of my leg to take to come out. But you said, when you're in the valley of the shadow of death, you should fear no evil. And about midday, I got a call from a lady from Revival Time Tabernacle who gave me Isaiah chapter 41, verses 10 and 13, which says, fear not, for I am with thee. Fear not. And then while I was healing, I told my doctor, Dr. Asana, I said, I'm sitting down, I'm reading so many books about cancer, but I need to put my own story to it. I need to write a book. And she said, are you sure? I said, there are 2 things I want to do. I want to form the Miss Letna Healing Hope, where I can raise funds for the Scarborough Hospital Network. That was my main priority, raise funds for the Scarborough Hospital Network, and to write a book about my story and to tell people how to live their life after breast cancer, and to give some good diet advice and some good exercise advice, and to keep you going, and to let people know that being diagnosed with breast cancer or any type of cancer is not a death sentence. Once you found it early and you get it treated and you follow the advice of your doctors and your medical professionals, you will be cured of it. So you have to do what you have to do and exercise, eat right. That is the main thing.
Yes, yes, I identify. I had a lumpectomy. I had stage 1 breast cancer a couple of years ago, and I knew it was my fault. They used to tell me, stop eating all that sugar and all those sweets. So I didn't blame anybody. But when the infection from the hospital came, I said, oh, dear God, why me? And then what you said came right to me. Thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself, your story,
Yes, you're welcome.
your book. And I'm going to transition right into another author. Wow, Nadia Hohn. She's an award-winning author of 7 books for young people, including Little Miss Lou, which Etna bases herself on Miss Lou, the Malika series, and most recently, Malika's Surprise. The picture book, Malika's Costume, was selected for the 2021 TD Book Giveaway and will be given to, listen to this, over 550,000 grade 1 students across Canada.
Nice.
Nadia teaches elementary school for almost 20 years. Those kids must really love this. And creative writing courses for adults. She holds an honors arts psychology degree from the University of Waterloo. She has a BEd, BA, Masters in Education in Sociology and Equity Studies in Education from the Institute for Studies in Education. That's U of T, University of Toronto. Right now, she's really busy. She's pursuing her Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing at the University of Guelph. Fantastic, fantastic. You know, Nadia, you've published plenty books. I've had the privilege of being in one of your book launches at a different Booklist Cultural Center. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Could you please talk to us about your journey to becoming a published author? It's one thing to be an author, it's another thing to be published.
Okay. Well, I'm very pleased to be here, and thank you so much for having me. And I'm just very blessed to be amongst these amazing, accomplished women. My journey starts, I think there are 2 main events that got me on the writing journey. So I started writing at a very young age. I remember at the age of 6, I loved reading, and I loved I just started writing things down and I didn't quite know how to make a story yet, but I was making a book. So I was writing things on paper and stapling it and drawing pictures. And then eventually, maybe around 6, 7, 8, I started to make the stories to go along with these. But at that time, you didn't have there's no self-publishing. There was we didn't have that digital, we didn't have online publishing house, that kind of thing. So I didn't really know I would be an author. It was a dream, but I never really thought it was something I could accomplish. But I still wrote. I wrote in my diary. I wrote for my high school, college newspapers. And it was actually the second main event that took place for me. I'm actually a cancer survivor as well. I had thyroid cancer, and you could probably see my scar right there. And the reason I mentioned that is because when I was diagnosed, I was also, wondering about this. And for me, it was a turning point because I thought, even though, the diagnosis is, you have a high chance of beating this and all of that, and you're young and blah, blah, blah. There were 2 things that I thought, if it were to all end today, what would be my regrets? And one of them was travel, and the other one was, I need to write a book. I need to write. So that really gave me the fire, the kick in the pants to pursue publishing. And I did so. So that was about 10 years ago. And I had taken some writing classes before that but after that experience, it just became real. I said, okay, you know what? I got to put everything into this. I was still teaching. And then after work, I would go to or on the weekends, I'd attend classes, go to conferences. I started meeting editors, and I just started sending my stories out and doing a lot of networking, and that's really how it began. And then my first 2 books were published in 2015, and those were music and media. I kind of have them in the back there. And then 2016 was Malika's Costume, and that was my first picture book.
But how did you identify the publisher? I think some people will be curious on that.
What do you mean? How did I identify?
Well, so many people have books to publish, but they don't know where to turn.
Okay, so yeah, so so I have two very different stories. So these two books, Media and Music, those were writer for hire jobs. So basically, some publishers, like this one is called Rubicon, and they were coming up with a series. It's called the Sankofa Black Heritage Collection. They wanted 15 books, and they were trying to find the writers to write those books.
Okay.
So somebody was approached, they couldn't do it, and they gave my name. That's how those ones happened. But for this one, and interestingly, you mentioned a different book list, because in 2011, a different book list had a day full of workshops. And one of those workshops was how to get into children's publishing workshop. And there was a editor, a publisher, and an author all on the panel. So I attended it, and then after the panel, I asked the publisher, I said, I have a story. I took her business card. She gave, and then 2 years later, I didn't even write her right away. I just said, it's nice to meet you, but I was too scared to send her my story. So it took me another 2 years to actually send her something. So for me, networking really works well. But there are so many other ways. And I just say you have to get to their organizations like CANSCAPE, that's CANSAIP. There's also SCBWI, like joining those associations, attending their meetings, Google, like that really helps. So you just really got to get in on the in. I am a traditionally published author. I'm not self-published, and I know that's another journey. So if you want to go the self-published route, I think maybe Ms. Letna can I talk about that, because there's different ways to go to publication, and everybody's journey looks a little bit different. And even sending your story to a publishing house and waiting for them to get back to you but usually they get thousands of stories. So if I always found that personal connection, networking worked for me. And then if you get an agent, then that agent can send those out for you and do the networking for you. And that's another stage. And I just got an agent recently. So it's all, it's like another world.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, are you working on something right now that you could maybe give us a little bit of spice?
Wow, I'm working on a few things. So I have 2 books coming out in 2023, and one of them is a picture book based on a childhood memory. And I am really excited about that one. I have, we're just choosing the illustrator for that one. And then the other book I'm working on is actually an anthology, and I'm editing it. So I'm getting the writers for it, and I'm really excited. And it has to do with food. And then I'm always working on other stuff. So I'm working on 2 novels as well. So I always have something in the pipeline, multiples. So yeah.
All right, nice. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, talk about stories. So we're going from story to story to story. Yeah. And so we're going to move from you now to Emerita Emerencia from Aruba. Yes. Emerita and myself have worked together for years and years and years. I remember when she first came to this country. Emerita is an award-winning writer and performer. She played the lead role in Black Theatre Canada's tours of Kwaku and Nancy, the positive imaging of African and Caribbean peoples. Ms. Emerencia auditioned, and I was accepted in the theatre program at York University, Ontario. She was awarded a scholarship to apprentice with Broadway producer Woody King Jr., and she did that. That's where Marlon Brando studied. The Herman Rottenberg Performing Arts Foundation in Manhattan awarded her a scholarship to study with Alvin Ailey Dance Center. Now we know that's one of the top black dance companies in the USA. Emerita also performed as Hermia in Black Theatre Canada's award-winning show, Caribbean Midsummer Night's Dream. It won the Dora Mavor Moore Award for Artistic Excellence and Innovation. The Canadian Doro Mavamore Award is really parallel to Broadway's Tony Awards. She's a playwright of 10 one-woman shows, which she toured across Canada, into Africa and the Caribbean. Emerita, I'm sorry, but it's like I'm welcoming my daughter into the fold this afternoon. I love this young lady so much. I've known her for so many years, and that's how I feel about you, sweetheart. Emerita, share with us how you got into Black Theatre Canada's repertory company, and what did that experience do for you? How significant was it?
All right. Well, first of all, I feel very honored to be part of this remarkable group of dynamic women. You know, things happen, everything happens for a reason. And as Amah said, I was very young when she met me. And I'll tell you the story about how that happened, how I got to Black Theatre Canada. One summer, it was a summer day, I think it was Caribana time. I was on Center Island in Toronto attending a summer event. I had recently arrived from Aruban. When this journalist approached me and suggested that I speak to Black Theatre Canada's co-director, Amah Harris, I thought, it's you. So when I met you, you said, I'll never forget, you said, you belong on stage, and invited me to audition for the repertory company. I was shocked because I had nothing prepared. And this was going to be a musical theater audition. Well, guess what? I was accepted in the Black Theatre Canada's repertory company. And the rest is history. So we toured the Kwekwananzi production to hundreds of thousands of kids and, you know, audiences across Ontario and into the US. And this production in particular portrayed an authentic, positive imaging of African and Caribbean people solving problems using their wisdom, not violence, in conflict resolution. And the highlight for me working with Black Theatre was when I performed a lead role as Hermia in a Caribbean Midsummer Night's Dream. This production had a huge impact on me because although it was considered classical European theater, the company's founder and artistic director, Vera Kudju, had decided to Caribbeanize it. And I thought it was genius. I mean, it worked so well because it showed the diversity of Caribbean people culturally and artistically. This experience completely liberated me. So working with Black Theatre Canada changed my perspective on what theater was supposed to be all about. To me, theater encompasses not only learning the art of acting and portraying characters, but also what we can learn from them on a social, political, and cultural level. Successfully integrating all of these can bring positive changes to yourself, to who you are, and the society that you live in. So that's in short how I got into Black Theatre Canada.
You know, you were speaking about being interested in theater of purpose, something that really has some sort of meaning, and how it influenced your life, how it reflected on the projects you chose to involve yourself in. How about sharing with us a couple of those very interesting projects?
All right. Well, when I branched off from Black Theatre Canada, I was very specific about the projects I chose to be involved in. To me, every project had to have a purpose. And these kinds of projects always found me somehow. And because of them, I kept developing as a person and as an artist and meeting like-minded artists. And one of those productions was called Coming from the Womb. And this production I worked on was with the cast of Black women and First Nation women, which I had never done before. And all the women wrote from their personal experiences. My role was to work with them on many different levels. And then we strung all of their writings together in one moving choir drama. And part of the training and rehearsal, I remember, took place in the city and some on a reservation. And most of us have never been on a reservation before. The strongest impact was how they influenced each other, these women. And at the end, the First Nation women's poetry was influenced by Black urban writing styles, and the Black women's writing was influenced by the First Nations belief system. So some real transformation, took place for most of them to at this point take control of their lives and better themselves. And then there was another great outcome, which was not expected. After the project was over, the women decided to publish a book of poetry, their first step towards independence, self-expression, and becoming what they were meant to become.
And then I think there's one, you went to Kenya, didn't you? And you represented Canada?
Yes, that's right. In 1998, I represented Canada at the International Drama in Education Association's Festival. More than 6,000 delegates from all over the world were there. And I got to perform my storytelling shows, and I also conducted workshops. And my storytelling was to illustrate how the African diaspora are connected to the continent of Africa through the slave trade, how certain African customs are still found there, and how our language of Papiamento, which is what we speak here in Aruba, and many other Caribbean languages are influenced by African languages. Mm-hmm. And the strongest impact for me actually was the Kenyans themselves, especially the children. Some of them were seriously disabled, yet that did not stop their performances. There was such a determination for life. So this so impressed me that when I came back to Canada, I got together with friends from the artistic community, and we raised enough funds to send it back to build a health clinic in Kisumu, Kenya.
Wow, that's just incredible. I feel so powerful just sitting among you. You know, God has really blessed me this afternoon. Just sitting among you, hearing you, so humble and yet so powerful, so full of stories and so full of love and charity, your heart so full. Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It has been an honor just sitting with you, listening to your stories, sharing my time with you. And I'm looking forward to when we share it with so many people. You know, it is such a humbling effect. You know, people will look at me and say, oh, you've done so much, pioneer of Black theater. Well, I stand on the shoulders of so many. I stand on the shoulders of my mother. And when people say, you walk in her shoes, and I say, oh, God, don't do me that. I could never walk in her shoes. She was so powerful. I thank God for her. I thank God for all of you, for my sister, for my nephew, for my huge family. It's big. And I give so much thanks for 100 ABC women.
Yes.
You are doing so much for all of us.
Amen.
You're allowing us to share that power that Black women carry. You're giving us the glory. You're saying, Mother Africa, here we are. We are here helping to build this young nation. Canada is young. I tell people that I come from the Caribbean and I landed here and I thought, ooh, this is young. It needs help. Let's build, let's help build it. You know, we come from America, we come from the Caribbean, we come straight out of the continent, we come from Europe and England, and all of us Black women are just here helping to build, supported by the beautiful Black men in our lives. I just say really right now, thank you, Donna. Thank you, Honorable Jean Augustine. Thank you, Dr. Green. Thank you all. To God be the glory.
God be the glory.
Amen.
Amen.
Look how far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. You stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. 100 woman growing strong. 100 woman where you belong. You have reached your destiny, woman.